So you want to design your own clothes, but you're not sure how. In this video, we are continuing our beginner-friendly fashion design series and turning inspiration into garment designs. We'll be pulling 3 key elements from our mood boards: texture, color, and silhouette. So all we are going to need for today, as promised, is a pencil. From the last video, we should have our mood board ready. And this here is something called a croquis. Now, I teach you how to do this inside the DPL Atelier. You do not need to render your garments on a fashion figure. You can absolutely just make on a page and sketch a flat top design or a pair of shorts without needing to put it on a human figure. Your creative process is totally up to you, but I will be using my croquis today. It speeds up my fashion process. I can just trace over the image and I can design on top of her. This is my mood board. This is from the first installment of our Fashion Design for Beginners series. So if you haven't watched that, make sure you circle back and do so that you understand this random collection of images. And this here is layout paper. Now, layout paper, I believe this one is 45 grams per meter squared. It's just a really lightweight, translucent paper. You can use tracing paper. If you're not tracing over a croquis, you can use normal paper. Whatever materials you have to hand are absolutely fine for this. And what I want to do is set up my space so that I have my mood board in front of me at all times. Because what I'm going to be doing is referring back to it to create my designs. Yours is going to look totally different, but you should have a balance of texture, color, and silhouette. And so to get started, I'm going to analyze my mood board and I'm going to pull out silhouettes that I can apply to the body. So let's start here with this braided piece of hair. And let's see if I can translate that onto the human figure and turn it into a design. And I'm going to try and replicate the shapes that I'm seeing. So if it helps you, you could also get tracing paper and lay it on top of your mood board and draw around the silhouettes that you see there. But I'm just going to do it by eye. And because this is quite complex, I'm just going to balance it with a wide leg trouser down below. Now, I don't have to feel the pressure to design every inch and every element of this outfit. So if I've got something that's quite busy on the top or busy on the bottom, then it bodes well to balance that out with a relatively simple opposite. I'm just going to do a wide leg trouser. And how I'm deciding on this is essentially considering my own wardrobe. I'm an inverted triangle body shape. And again, we cover this inside the DPL Atelier so that you can understand not only your unique proportions, but your seasonal color analysis as well, what lights up your undertones and your unique complexion. We deep dive into all of it. But for me, I am an inverted triangle, meaning that I am broader up top than I am down below. And so to balance my personal figure out, I often reach for a wide-legged trouser because this volume down here balances out my natural volume in my bone structure up here. I'm then going to take the visor and I'm going to do almost like a peplum overlayer on top of the trouser, but I want it to be quite translucent, just like the riot police helmet and the visor there. So I'm going to copy that shape. And this is design number 1. Let's move on. Let's select other elements from my mood board. So if I bring this back in, I can have a look at the silhouette of the stirrup, this kind of arch shape with a cutout to the top here where the leather, stirrup leathers feed through that hole. So this stirrup silhouette is really inspiring me. I'm also quite inspired by the accordion style going on this pipe that attaches to the gas mask. This is almost reminding me of pleating. So these kind of lines that are fanning around this gas mask are something that I want to draw from as well. That's really inspiring me. And then finally, I've rotated my vertebrae image here, and I've mirrored my police helmet visor here. Just because you're doing that in the process of developing your mood board doesn't mean you can't still interact with your mood board. And so if I wanted to, I could turn this upside down, and I've then created a new range of silhouettes that I can look at everything from an alternative angle. So feel free, with your mood board printed out and in front of you, or if it's on a screen or however you're viewing it, feel free to rotate that around and you're still going to be able to see a variety of silhouettes from different angles. And so I'm going to take this vertebrae, but I'm actually going to turn it this way and I'll mimic the silhouette that I'm seeing here, and I'll try and implement that into my design as well. So let's get started combining all of those elements together. I'm going to start with the stirrup design. I'm going to lightly trace that silhouette onto the body. So we kind of arch down here, and I can draw that stirrup silhouette onto the body. There's a hole at the top where the stirrup leather feeds through, so I'm going to replicate that and draw that in as well. And I'm just having a little look at how this maps out. The benefit of using a croquis, and again, you do not need one to proceed with this, but there are benefits to drawing on a croquis. It does help you with your proportions, with plotting it out, the relationship with the body, but by all means, you can absolutely just mark make without having that fashion figure template underneath. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to feed through, taken from those stirrup leathers, and maybe I just want to have that strap feed underneath. I think I'm going to get rid of the full silhouette shape across the legs, and I'm going to turn this into almost like a capelet or a pullover with a really interesting sleeve design. So if I actually extend this line that's looped underneath, let's play around with some unique silhouette here. And notice how I'm drawing ever so lightly with my pencil until I'm happy with it, and then I can go in with a harder, more permanent line. Quite a complex shape, but this is the beauty of coming up with something original. This is our task at hand. We are trying to develop original ideas. Okay, I'm quite happy with that and where that's going. Next up, let's incorporate my vertebrae. So again, if I'm turning my mood board the right angle round for me to take that as inspiration and tuck that under my work there so that I constantly have that reference. And I can start to translate that vertebrae. Let's try and do it almost like a belt design. And just out of personal preference, I'm not keen on showing this much skin in terms of my midriff, my shoulders, and my legs. So let's cover her up. But I'm going to cover her up inspired by that gas mask tube with a pleating detail. And so again, I'm going to have a little look at a simple silhouette. I don't need to overcomplicate it because hell, we've got so much going on over here. And what I do always try to do in my design work is play around with my sleeve lengths and hem variations. So if I've done a full length look here that hits the floor, I'm going to actually play around with my hem length on look number 2. And I'm going to make this a shorter skirt. And another thing is I've done a trouser, so I'm going to try out a skirt. If I've done a going out top, I'll try out a jumper. It's just about exploring garment ideas and concepts. And this belt's going to work perfectly for gathering in the pleats. And so the silhouette of my skirt isn't necessarily following anything from my mood board, but so many other elements are. And the more you practice with this, the more you're going to understand when to kind of rest and breathe easy and let it have its moment, and when to keep designing. It's so much easier to edit down ideas than it is to struggle to come up with them. So if you're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at this, then stay tuned for next week's video because I'm going to be giving you tips on how to edit down your ideas and get the most from them. Next up then, taking inspiration from this gas mask again, I can have a little look at how this seems to attach. There seem to be buckles and strap detailing on the side with rings almost, like squared off rectangular rings. So I'm going to take inspiration from the shapes I'm seeing following around the circumference and outline of the head and the edge of this gas mask. I'm going to try and apply that to a design. And then I also am desperate to incorporate this beautiful blanket stitch that I've got going on as well. So let me have a little look at incorporating this. So I'm going to keep it quite simple. And I'm just going to try and replicate that top line of the gas mask onto a neckline of my design. And if you're thinking, how on earth do you know what to design? How do you know, that you're going to do a jumpsuit or a dress? Just have a little think of what garments appear in your wardrobe. If you don't wear dresses, don't try and trouble yourself designing them. If you want to wear dresses and incorporate them into your wardrobe, then this is a great opportunity to do so. But you know what a t-shirt looks like. You know what a jacket looks like. So it's not about reinventing the wheel or designing a garment that never before has been seen. You can design a jacket, but you can incorporate these design details to make them something luxury and high-end and something unique to add to your wardrobe without the pressure of reinventing the wheel. And so I'm going to attach this to the body with some shoulder straps here and these kind of D-ring details from the gas mask by there on the neckline. I'm then going to come down and I'm going to actually revert it and do almost cutouts, little notches, still taken from the silhouettes on the gas mask, but I'm going to come into the waist and then add those little trims and hardware to the hem here as well. And so this is just a very simple top design. I'm actually going to do, because I've got a full length trouser here, I'm actually going to do a full length skirt underneath, and I might do it as an underlayer. So through this cutout, you'll be able to see the slip dress underneath. And again, we've got quite a lot going on. I'm going to try and keep this simple, and I'll run a center front seam down that like so. And I'm going to add the blanket stitch detail to the hem of this dress design. I think that'll be a nice way to balance out. And again, it's all about balance. We've got something going on up here. And so I want to balance that out by drawing the eye to the bottom as well. So I'm just going to add a blanket stitch detail hem of this design. And I quite like that. I think that looks quite simple, and yet it's got enough design details for it to offer something interesting. So you're now joining me inside Photoshop, where I'm about to add in the two other cornerstones of our visual research. Remember those? Texture and color. You may notice that I've added a fourth design in the lineup, and even though the brief tasks us with designing just one look, it's really easy to see how using these tips and techniques can generate multiple unique concepts. So don't stop, keep drawing from your silhouette and let the inspiration flow. When you're ready, you can start incorporating your color and your texture. Now, I'm demonstrating here on Photoshop, and for anybody interested, I'm using a Wacom Intuos graphics tablet. But honestly, and as promised, you do not need fancy tools to get started. You can experiment with adding texture and color using coloring pencils or by collaging your research images. And if you don't even have that to hand, then simply annotate it with your pencil on your piece of paper. Whatever works with the tools that you have available. Now notice how powerful adding texture to my otherwise simple designs can be. It's instantly elevating a basic silhouette. It's giving it more high-end feel. The interplay between texture, color, and silhouette is really what brings your designs to life. So this method works whether you're designing just for fun or creating pieces for your personal wardrobe. And if it's the latter, top tip, just be mindful of your color palette. So I here have chosen softer hues that complement my skin tone, and they would fit into my existing wardrobe. But your palette should reflect your style, and your designs should fit into your lifestyle. So I don't think you're going to catch me mucking out stables in any of these, but consider whether your pieces are wearable for your daily routine. Practicality is just as important as creativity. And if you're ready to take this further, join me in the 3-day design challenge, where I'll guide you through this process in real time and offer personalized feedback on your designs. You'll also have a chance to win some amazing prizes, and I will leave the link down below for anybody interested. Now that we've done the hard work through our research and design ideas, the next step couldn't be easier. In next week's video, I'm going to be sharing one of my favorite design techniques with you as we maximize the potential of our concepts. So stick around. Click like, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and let me know in the comments which of my 4 designs would you like to see me bring to life.